Hello, and welcome to the virtual film company on Spatial I/O. Today on our show, we're going to be talking about the clash of the video AI models. We're going to look at the different AI creation models, including Sora and the new competitor Vidu. We will talk about some news, and with that, I'm going to hand you over to Chris.
Right. Thanks a lot, John. Yes, you're absolutely right. Today we will talk about the big topic, Vidu, the new chase of Sora. But we also prepared some news item because in 2 weeks, a lot of things are happening. And one thing that happened that was recognized a lot by the people in the AI community, let's say, that is the new release of Llama 3. And Llama 3 is a LLM, large language model from Meta. And we already talked about a little bit that Llama 3 is training. And the big thing for me basically is that Llama 3 is a open source model. So it's a large language model you can download. You can have it running on your own PC if you don't like to pay money to OpenAI or any other service, because you will always use that via a so-called API on the internet. But if you want to run it on your PC, you can go and download it. On the presentation, we can see a little bit of the metrics of this new model and how it, well, behaves in comparison to other models like Gemini from Google or Anthropic's Opus, for example. So Llama is not the top-notch model, but Llama 3, well, it's behaving very well. It beats a lot of the other smaller models. At the moment, it is available in two pieces, let's say. You can have the 8 billion parameter model that is 4.7 gigabytes when you download it, or there is a 70 billion parameter model you can download. And that's, I'm not exactly sure how big it is. I didn't download it. Several more gigabytes, and you need a lot of memory to run it locally on your computer. So guys, what do you think? Is that a good news?
No, definitely good news. I think anything one can run locally on one's computer is good, but these models continue to improve to the point that, I wonder when we're going to get to, a situation where you just can't run anymore on a local machine and you have to either lease space or have a very, very beefy machine to run it.
Definitely, yeah. If you run the bigger models, the open source models, and there are a lot of more of them, and a lot of them are trained on Llama, for example, Llama 2 or Llama 3, it's, you need a quite big computer with a very expensive graphics board. So, yeah, definitely you have to think about it. But I think what's really important here is that it comes to the people. It's not that just the big companies, and also Meta is a big company, are keeping hands on them and keep them for themselves, but they give it away, and a lot of people are using it to do research and stuff like that. So I think
I think it's great as well. I mean, it's great that we don't need to rely on, just like a chat GPT. If you want to do your own thing and be doing your own research on your private machine, I mean, it's amazing to have this as an option, how it's going to evolve in the future. I mean, the computer is just going to be getting better. And I think that there should always be a market for this, because not everybody wants to share all their data out there with what's going on, because that's part of what you're signing up for with some of these big programs is they're using all of that for their own research. And some people do not want that at all, especially if they're working on some things that have non-disclosure agreements and whatnot. Like technically they can't be using public stuff for that.
Well, that's a good point. People have been warned about doing that in terms of disclosing company confidential stuff via these large language models, which I think is one of the reasons too for some of these companies developing their own large language model so it runs internally.
Definitely. And that is a good point that you make there. And brings us to the next news item, basically, because there are more and more large language models coming out. For example, well, it's from a company, I don't know if you ever heard about it. The company is called Reka AI, and they released their core model. That's the best model they have. They called it core. And this one is now placed somewhere in between of ChatGPT 4 and Claude Opus. And that means it is on the top notch from a company I have to say did not hear about too much before. I know they were around, but you can see, and that is really interesting here, that this new model is competitive, and it's not from obviously one of these gigantic big companies out there. So somehow I think it's really cool to see that other companies can keep up and they can surprise the industry, let's say. So I tried it. There's the Reka Playground on Reka AI. You can try that yourself as well. And the results weren't too bad.
Did you try the apples test, Chris?
The apples test, the one that says it should make a sentence and on the end there should be the name or word apple.
No. The test that you ask the GPT or the large language model a question and you say, I'm gonna, give you a riddle, and the riddle is that the boy has 2 apples today and ate 1 yesterday. How many does he have today? And if you ask GPT 3.5, for instance, that question, it gets it totally wrong. 4.0 actually does a good job and gets it right. But it's a good example of some of the basic stuff that some of these large language models just fail on completely.
Right. Logic tests, always when you try around, I'm doing always things like I'm asking for, I have a complete number of people. I'm talking about like John is doing this and Jack is doing that and who is doing it better or stuff like that. A lot of things are interconnected to see if it can keep up and sort out 4 or 5 different persons in a sentence and sort it and stuff like that. So I'm doing those logic tests, yes. I did it also with Reka and it wasn't too bad, but I did not do the apples test in that case. Good. Yeah, Eric, you want to say something to Reka or we can move on?
I believe Reka, it's interesting to see that what it's exactly doing. And, going in and I was reading, what you guys sent, and it just blows my mind that, like you were saying, these huge companies that have all of this money and you get some smaller operating people coming on the board. This is very promising because it shows that you don't need to be a huge company with billions of dollars to be in this space, which I feel like is encouraging for us as the virtual film company, where we're going in the future.
Yeah, somehow it is. Okay, so yeah, and that's basically leading us to the next company that is basically a big one, and that's our friends from Microsoft, and they also had something new to show. That is quite similar to something that we already spoke about here, It's about making a fake video, let's say. You will give the model a face, a picture of a face, and then just type in a text prompt, and the face will start talking. And that model is called Vasa 1. Okay, when I think about Vasa, it's something like a milk bread here in Western Europe. I'm always getting hungry. So anyways, and we have a little video from these talking heads, let's say, from Vasa 1, and I will just rearrange the camera shortly to show you that video, and we can take a look at some of these faces. And you always have to think about there's just basically one image, and that was given to the AI model. And then this AI model can start to talk, and let's let them talk.
So, sometimes nothing happens and sometimes everything happens all at once and you just gotta deal with it. And it's also just strange to both be extremely worried about different things and have your anxiety levels like peak to the highest they've ever been. And then also be extremely happy and grateful that you were able to buy an apartment. It's all these conflicting emotions. They had their way with me. Let's just say I had so many opportunities to practice what I preach. So I tried my best to take good care of myself. I tried my best to stay mindful, to meditate, just really listening and responding to what I needed. And I do believe that having a practice like that really does help. And then
The first thing we need to look at is the letter H, so the sound at the beginning. It depends what country you're from, but many native languages have a problem with putting too much tightness in the throat, and it can become more of a h sound. So it's very important not to over-exaggerate this sound. It's a very soft, very relaxed sound in English. So just softly release the sound help. Okay?
Right.
Amazing. Amazing. Compared to where the last one was when we were watching it, to where I remember our complaint was that the eyes didn't blink and whatnot. Now you're really getting that emotion, that you're seeing that in these people's faces with the expressions. You can tell that they've trained them to really watch how regular people talk. The concerning thing that I see for this with if you're an actor, a voice actor, or anything like that, like this is all these companies need to do is brand one of their new people that they want to do, and they don't need to pay them. They do not need to pay. This is a service that would be normally need an actor, a professional in there. I mean, it's getting to the point to where you can just have your spokesperson or whoever's going to represent your brand feed them the script and they will deliver it. This is super impressive.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. That's for sure one of the things. You just make a picture maybe of not even someone who really exists, and that one can talk. And you saw the emotion. Also, that is one that was written in the paper from Microsoft, Vasa in this case. It's impressive, 100%, and it's dangerous for sure.
Well, the thing is when you take one of these actors, they don't complain. They'll do another take. It's kind of like there's no pain of doing business with this. They'll just, whatever they need you to do, you just make the changes and they're going to do it. And, you take a human, there could be a lot of complexities that you're going to need to deal with somebody's personality.
Right.
There's a lot of companies that are doing this already to one extent or the other. And it's going to be interesting to see if this ever does become a product.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about Emo, if you remember that from Alibaba. That was quite similar. The singing woman that also had a lot of emotions. That's why they call it emo. Yeah, a lot of companies are working with this at the moment, and those face swaps or fake faces or whatever to call them. Well, we will see a lot of that. And as you're absolutely right, Mystery, for the filmmaking or for any presenter, this will be hard in the future. And yeah, basically that leads us to our main topic today. It's about filmmaking. And well, we talked about Sora 2 times already. And Sora is the big video producing, let's say, AI model from OpenAI. And what we saw was really, 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 let's say, interesting, or let's say, yeah, amazing, right? The results from Sora were fantastic. And a lot of other video models out there. And we played around with Runway, Pika, Kyber, Hyper. There's so many Pixelverse, or how is it called? Pixelverse, I don't know. So many models out there where you can make videos for free today. But they cannot keep up with Sora. And now a Chinese company showed a model that can. And yeah, I mean, we should maybe take a look at this model called Vidu. And I have to switch the camera again in that case. So we can have a sneak peek, let's say, into this Vidu model from China. That is quite amazing, I have to say. But we won't play the sound in this case. We will just take a look at those amazing images. I hope that will work here. Okay. Yeah, I think we do probably remember a lot of these videos from Sora already. And several of these videos here are definitely made to be compared with videos coming from Sora. So they created videos in the same style, like Sora videos, just to show they can keep up.
They all look amazing, and obviously, as somebody's watching, visually, you're like, wow, look at all of these things being imagined, being created. The one thing I always, with the more and more stuff we've watched, is how short the video clips are. So, it's if somebody's
Sure.
looking to build a story in continuity, you can create these small little clips that are, yes, impressive, but yeah, if we all know, if you're making a story, you need to be able to make this character several times in several different setups and scenes.
The point is, and that was given as a hint in the presentation that was in Beijing on Saturday, as far as I know, that they are creating at the moment, I think, up to 20 seconds or something around that. Sora is already creating up to a minute, but the main thing here is consistency. If a person who's walking, for example, is that a full walk cycle, or is that the leg just disappearing somewhere, and sometimes a third or fourth leg is coming out? Is that believable, what we see here? And well, yeah, still some itches and little glitches and whatever, but well, I think it's damn good.
Yeah, it's getting there, definitely. From what we've seen, it's pretty remarkable when you look at where we were 2 years ago with warp fusion
Oh yeah.
and what was being put out then. But as I've said before, we still need to see these products come to market and see what it's going to end up costing to render that 1 minute of video.
100%. The
Yes.
question about money and the pure amount of calculation power that is needed is for sure very important here. Because if you really want to produce with that, you will always come to this point like, how much does it cost me? And that's another big topic for today. How much is really being outputted by the video model, or do I still have to do post-production with it?
That's what I thought was very interesting with the article that the people that did the balloon, the Canadian production company, and read the interview, and I thought it was very interesting. They said they used everything that you're going to see in that video, 1 out of every 300 pieces that they generated. And having generated content for these videos, and then it needed color correction, some of them, it's amazing what was done. But for somebody to think that they just typed in a prompt and it spit this thing out, it is not that way at all. Like, there was still, you're looking 1 out of 300. This is a ton of content that was generated just to get this piece. So it's not just turnkey to where, like, you made this video in an hour worth of work. I mean, they had a small team, it sounded like, that did it. And it's regardless, it's super impressive. But these people that think like it's not a talent to make these things, you're seeing a lot of talent taking place, because it's very creative. It's just very advanced.
Well, we will see whenever they feel that we are trustworthy enough to release it to us. And I think that brings to the end of our show. Or do you have closing comments, Chris?
Well, just shortly, yes. I think that's exactly the point at the moment. We will have to see how the process of filmmaking will evolve. How much can we really hand over to an AI model, and how much do we have to do with our own hands? So maybe it's a very good news for all the VFX producers that thought maybe that they're already out of business. So it's really staying very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what's also interesting is that one can duplicate some of this with present tools like Runway if you continue to do multiple generations and you're lucky enough to get something that looks good.
For me, for the future, instead of what I would love to see, instead of now talking about film pilots, movies, these huge $50 million, $100 million budgets, seeing what, 100,000, 500,000, these small teams of people being built and really being able to churn out content, because that's really where we're going, is so much content can be created. How about having I think they're reassessing a lot of different things, and people should have some budgets that they can really put some stuff together. And I think you can do a lot with a much smaller budget in prior years that you were needing to do. So I hope film people are looking at this as not everything's going to be necessarily super cheap, but much more efficient, and maybe they can fund more things. That's what I hope for.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good. Well, that's our show today. Thank you for watching. This is the Virtual Film Company in Spatial I/O. We're here every 2 weeks talking about technology, and in particular lately AI. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel at Virtual Film Company. We also have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye-bye.
I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want us to go any overtime.